Good afternoon, everyone. Why people
Hello,
didn't
sir.
join
Good afternoon.
today? Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's get started. I guess we have to start Agile today.
So
So,
wait a minute.
sorry. What was that? Can you come again? Who was there? Someone is saying something, right? Okay. So basically, before starting Agile, let's understand the workflow of a waterfall model. Once the waterfall model we were using currently in the industry, right? Because earlier there were no testers, and testing only happens when the basically your development is done, coding is done. But here parallel execution happens, parallel development and testing happens in current waterfall model, which is there in the industry. And also one more thing is there, testing is done by testers, right? Although like the rule remains same, we do freeze the requirement at the day one after the collection of requirement itself from the client side. Okay, so the basic idea is that when you do collect the requirement and you start coding after all the stages like feasibility study, designing and all, right? You start coding, developers start coding. They just give you build one by one, they just give you build feature by feature, one after the other. Let's take an example. Let's say that we have a requirement of A to Z. A is one feature, B is another feature, C is another feature. Similarly, till Z we have the features which we need to develop. So what developer do? Developer code it one feature. Developer do the white box testing. Developer give you the build 0 1. Then you do the functional testing. As it is only one feature, you can only do functionality testing, right? So you do the testing. Then they will give you one more build. When you raise the bug, they will fix some of the bugs and they will start. They will be working on the new feature B. Once after completion of that, they will give you another build. You will do the testing on A and B. So you'll do functionality testing and integration testing on that particular build, right? As you have two features, you can do integration testing also. Similarly, you will keep on doing testing, different types of testing on different builds, and you will raise some sort of bugs to developer. They will fix some of the bugs. As they will be also busy in developing the new feature, they might not fix everything, but they will fix some of the bug, right? So you have to retest those bugs, and this cycle will keep on going, right after some 20 feature you will get the minimum bunch of feature to do system testing. End-to-end scenarios you can create and you can test. So basic idea is that this after the build number 20 you will start doing what system testing also, and you will keep on executing your test cases which you have written. You will you, at the end you will end up in this particular cycle, complete cycle. You will be there in the stage wherein you have developed whole A to Z feature, and they have developed whole A to Z feature, and you have tested whole A to Z feature. Okay, now the ask is that we need to release that feature. We need to release this particular whole software to the customer. But the problem is that when you will be raising the bugs in the traditional model also, the problem was that maybe a good amount of bugs is not yet fixed. Why? The problem, you know that, right? Because there will be a lot more time invested in developing the new feature rather than fixing of bugs. So at the end, when you did your complete testing, you might be with minimum bunch of bugs which will be there in your bucket, in developers bucket, which is not yet fixed. Okay, so even after you completed your testing, there will be some sort of bugs left out. So what will happen, you will ask your developer to fix these bugs, and you will retest for few more cycles, and you will just do what, you will just do regression testing and retesting that time. Okay, the now when you are well below then acceptance criteria. Now what is acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is a criteria set by customer so that you can release a product if you match that particular criteria. That's why it is called as acceptance criteria. It's a criteria for you in order to deliver the software to the customer. If customer has to accept that particular software, you need to meet this criteria. So this will have multiple things, right? They will ask you to check whether 95 90 98% test cases are passed or not. They will ask you to have, like for an example, no blocker bug, no critical bug should be there. Some number of major and minor bugs are allowed. They will give you a criteria. Hypothetically, they will give you a criteria. For an example, this criteria, hypothetically, zero number of blockers, zero number of critical bug, 20 minor bugs and 10 major bugs are allowed. So if you are below this acceptance criteria, you are eligible to deploy your software to the customer side for acceptance testing. If not, you are not allowed. You can't deploy the software to the customer. Okay, even though you meet your deadline, then also you are not able to, then also you can't deploy the software to the customer if you are not below than the acceptance criteria. Okay, this is the condition. Now you will do some round of fixing, right? If you are not below the acceptance criteria, you will tell developer to fix these bugs, and they will fix it and you will retest it. Right after that, once after this retesting happens, right after that you will give it to the customer will also do few rounds of acceptance testing. They will also raise bug, to our developer, and basically our developer fix it. They will not directly give it to the customer for retesting. They will give that build to you. You have to retest. Once you give the approval, that thing will be deployed to acceptance environment. Getting my point? Until and unless you don't give the sign off on that particular fix, they will not deploy that fix in the acceptance environment. So similarly, this will happen, right? They will also raise some sort of bug. You have to again retest, and then eventually, right after so many cycles of acceptance testing, they will give the approval, and this particular version of software will get deployed in the production server. Are we clear with the flow? Do I need to repeat something, guys?
Sir, please repeat the flow briefly. I joined later.
Okay. Cool. So on a higher level, I can
Sir,
explain.
this
Yeah.
is agile method we are
No,
studying.
this is waterfall model, but according to our current industry trend. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
we'll try to understand waterfall model. Sorry, agile methodology with the comparison of waterfall model. It will give you more understandable workflow of the agile methodology. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
just agile is no more different than this, but just one improvement is being done. One, not two, or not one, two improvement points they have made in the waterfall model, and they came up with agile methodology in terms of workflow, not in terms of project management. Agile is way far better than the better in the project management compared to waterfall model. But in the this kind of workflow, they have done two major changes. We'll get to understand in shorter duration of time in the other half of the class. So basic idea is that this is traditional model, but according to current industry trend, how we are working on waterfall model. If currently you go to your company and they are following waterfall model, this is how they are following it, right? So right, basically you will get the requirement, everything will remain same. You will do feasibility study, you will do designing, basically your company people will do it. Then coding start. Unlike the traditional model at the early 90s, wherein whole coding needs to be done and then testing will happen, and that too testing will happen by the developers only. Here in current industry, testing and development happens parallelly, hand in hand. They will continuously develop the new features, and you will continuously test it parallelly. That's what we call it as parallel testing. Or basically you can also call it as development and testing happens parallelly. Okay, so basically they will develop feature by feature. They will create one feature, they will do white box testing, they will give you the build, you will test that feature, then they will give you while you are testing that particular build, they will be involved in developing the new feature. While you are testing A, they will be busy in developing new feature B, and they will do the white box testing, and they will give you another build with A and B both. So when you raise in this process, when you are testing it, you will raise some sort of defect. They will be not in the state to completely fix everything. Okay, so what they will do, they will be involved in basically development of new feature also. For an example, if you raised some bugs in A while testing A and B, yeah, let's say you raised somewhere around 5 bugs in A and B, you raised it to the developer, they will fix some, they might fix 2 or 3, they will leave 2 or 3. Why? Because they will be busy in development of C, the new feature, right? So they will pick some and they will be not fixing some because of the time issue or something like that. So they will give you a fresh build with some fix and new feature. So this will continuously happen. Initially there is one feature you will be able to do functionality testing, then there will be 2 features you'll be able to do functionality and integration testing. Similarly at build number 20 you get the minimum bunch of features, you will be able to do FTI TST all three, and then compatibility testing, etc., etc. All types of testing you will be doing in this span of time. After some 44 or 45 builds, somewhere around that, hypothetically, let's assume that you are done with all types of testing you can do on the software, and you have tested all the A to Z feature. Now what will happen, basically you will be left out of with few number of bugs. Why? Because they haven't fixed on this duration, they haven't fixed those bugs, correct? They fix some of the bugs, they leave some of the bugs. So at the end of the testing you might have some bugs which is more than acceptance criteria, which is more than the criteria you have to meet in order to release the software to the customer. So basic idea is that again they will do some round of fixing and you will be involved in some round of retesting until you become well below than acceptance criteria. You know what is acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is a criteria set by a customer. In order to release the software to the customer, you need to meet that particular acceptance criteria. Okay, now acceptance criteria have multiple things. They can ask you to have like 95%, 99% test case should be passed. This could be criteria. They can tell you that this number of major and minor bugs are allowed for you to have, but no block or no critical bug should be there in the software. And they can tell you that the system testing should be done properly or something like that. Basically it should be tested in an environment which is similar to production environment. So they can have different scenarios in the acceptance criteria, but defect count, if you are higher than acceptance criteria in your build, basically final build, you need to do some round of fixes and basically uh, you have to make this particular number of defect well below the acceptance criteria. Right after that, when you are done with this, they have done some fixes, you have done some round of testing, you will deploy it to the customer will again do acceptance testing, they will also raise the bug, they our developer will fix the bug, they will give us the build first test, they will give the testers will build first, they will retest. Once they give the sign off, yeah, it is working fine, then they will deploy the changes, deploy the fix to the customer will also retest, and they will continuously doing some round of basically acceptance testing, and then they will give you the approval. Once you get the approval, the DevOps, yeah, the person who is deploying the particular software, they will just release the engineer or DevOps, whoever, they will just do what, take the particular software from your development environment and deploy it to the production server. Job done. Release happened. Well, this is what the release is, right? Right from the collection of the requirement, testing and developing it for so many cycle until you move it to the production, that is called as one release. This is how you do a release in current industry if you are following traditional model, waterfall model. Everyone got it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Now when customers sometimes do what, like customer sometimes is very much happy with your work and they give you enhancement of whatever you have developed. For an example, they have made you develop this Instagram, and earlier Instagram has a lot many features, but now they're happy with your work, they want to give you more work on top of whatever you have in your Instagram. They want to have newsfeed, they want to have stories, they want to have money transfer or something like that. they wants to have business logic in their particular Instagram, so they will give you new requirement on top of the old requirement. They will give you new requirement. That's what we call it enhanced requirement, wherein whatever requirement is there on top of that requirement, जो भी आपने deploy कर दिया, whatever you have deployed on top of that requirement, they give you more requirement on the same software. That's called enhanced requirement. And basically enhanced requirement is there, you will do the coding, they will again do the same thing, they will do the coding, they will do the white box testing of feature by feature, and they will deploy it to you. Now unlike here, the first release, wherein very first build, in the very first build you are only able to do functionality testing because there was only one feature. Now you will have A to Z already in this first build, and on top of that you will have AA. Okay, double A. Now why we are considering A to Z here, why they're developing on top of A to Z the AA feature. The basic idea is that whenever you develop a building, right, and if you are already developed 2 floors, and if you have to develop 4 more floors, right, so you will start from the second floor only, right, you will develop on top of that only, right. So that's what happens with software. For an example, we are not doing what, we are not keeping A to Z here, and we are just developing a double A here. What will happen, we will not be sure that this, whether this double A will properly work this with this A to Z or not, right. So basic idea is that to make sure everything will work fine in the production environment, when we deploy these new changes, we keep the old thing also, and on top of that we are developing the new enhancements. Okay, so here from the first build you will have minimum bunch of feature, you will be able to do functionality testing, integration testing, system testing, yeah, on the new feature, and with the help of other features, and also you will be able to do the regression testing kind of testing. So here a very wider range of testing are eligible in order to do in compared to the first release first build. The second release first build will have multiple opportunities to have multiple type of testing compared to the first build of the first release. Okay, getting my point, guys?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So what will happen, same thing will happen again. They will give you feature by feature, you will raise bugs, they will fix some of the bugs, you will do what, you will basically test the new features. This cycle will keep on going and keep on going until you tested the whole feature. Then again they will do few rounds of bug fixes only, and you will do few rounds of retesting only, then until you are well below the acceptance criteria. Again you will give it to the customer will do acceptance testing, they will raise bug, you will retest, and then once you give the sign off, they will deploy those changes in the acceptance environment. Right after the acceptance testing, they will give you the approval for the enhancement also. Now you can't move this whole software, the acceptance testing के लिए जो आपने software दिया है, whatever software you have, software version you have given for the acceptance testing, whatever build you have given for the acceptance testing, for example build number 48, build number 48 will have A to ZZ feature, correct. You can't deploy this whole A to ZZ feature to the server, because server already have A to Z, correct. Production server in the previous release you have done A to Z, right. So you can't deploy whole A to ZZ, whole A to ZZ you can't deploy in the servers, that will be overridden, and also it will take a lot of time of installation. So what we will do, we will create a patch of the earlier released product and the new released product, correct. So if A to Z is there and new release product is A to ZZ, what will be the difference? The difference will be AA to ZZ, correct. Earlier release what is there, A to Z. Current release what we have developed, A to ZZ. So if you subtract this earlier release product from this particular release, it will be cancelled, and you will only have A to ZZ. So that will be there in the patch, and we'll deploy this patch to the production server. Are we clear, everyone? I want an answer from everyone, guys. Clear? Waterfall model
Yes.
workflow.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
देखो ये, this is a currently how it works, right? If they want to give more enhancement, they will give more enhancement. We'll do one more release. This can be named as release number 1, release number 2, release number 3, or this can be named anything. They name it anything, literally anything. Okay, cheetah, tiger, lion, something like that. They can be naming it anything just for tracking purpose. Okay, so basically this waterfall model or traditional model has some sort of defects, has some sort of drawbacks. Not exactly defect, drawbacks. What is the drawback? This whole process, right? This the collection of requirement to development and deployment to the production, this whole process takes somewhere around 10 to 16 months. So in this duration of time, if you are a customer, you only tell me this thing. If you are a customer, you are giving a project to an IT company, you are giving billions of, not billions, like millions of dollars to other particular IT company, and they will tell you you have to wait for 16 months in order to get the product. What do you think? Will you want to invest that amount of money to the IT company and try to like get the product after 16 months and then make profit out of it, or will you like try to follow up with another company which can give you a software in a shorter duration of time? What do you think? What route you will take?
They will follow up another company.
Follow up another company, correct? It's a simple logic, right? As soon as they get the product, they can make profit out of it, so they will try to get the product as soon as possible, so they will go for another company. So this is the very first drawback. Whenever customer invested money on day one, the returns will be there after 10 to 16 months. So that's a problem. Another problem is that the customer will not get to know what software, what kind of software, how it will look, how it will look, how it will function, how it will be feel. uh, they will not get to know that in between this 10 to 16 months. They will only get to see the software once the software is delivered to the production. So that's another problem. If customer is not able to interact with the software, it's not able to see the software, what they will go, and even though they don't have any kind of high level idea what software will look like, basically that creates a problem in customers head, what exactly they want. Eventually there might be chances, if they haven't seen it over the period of time, at the end you deliver a software, they will say that they don't want the UI like this, or they don't want the design like this kind of stuff. So at the end, eventually they can say that we don't want this, you have to do rework. So that's another problem. The third problem is that it won't make people responsible. This whole process doesn't make people responsible. This is the point you will get to know more in agile. जब agile पढ़ेंगे तो I'll explain it one more time. That time you'll get to know this particular point easily. तभी पढ़ते हैं इसको, ठीक है? Then customer invest money on day one and get, this is what we already like discussed. So customer get to invest the money on day one. They have to wait for 16 months in order to get the return. So that's also a challenge. That's also a problem for the customer. So basically, we say that whatever project we are doing it here with the help of agile, with the help of waterfall model. So we can do the same project in basically, for an example, if it is taking 16 months in a waterfall model, we can do it in 4 months with the help of agile. The process is same. There is one simple logic they have applied, and 2 points they have improved in this particular model, and they have created agile. I'll tell you what. Instead of delivering whole A to Z feature at one go, they break the requirement in small pieces. Let's say A to D, and they develop A to D and deliver it to the customer, and then they start working on another piece after D, E, F, G, H, I, something like that. They will deliver. Then after that, they will deliver E, F, G, H, I. So here, the few problems are getting resolved itself. Instead of delivering whole feature, if you break the requirement and deploy it in pieces, this problem is solved. You are giving the software to the customer, and they can see the product and touch the product and like check whether how it is working. And if they feel that something is needed, some changes are needed, they can tell you then and there. So instead of doing up changes in the finished product And compared to doing the changes on the under development product, under development product changes will be very less, it will take a very less effort compared to the finished product. So here they can give the changes. First of all, agile accept the changes, right? And secondary, they can deliver a small piece of software to the customer. They can share their review comments then in there only. So this problem get resolved. Now they are able to see and touch the product before the delivery, like of full product, right? This problem has been overcome. This whole problem, it will be overcome with another point which I'm going to tell you. Like the whole project, it takes 10 to 16 months, right? This problem will get overcome when I tell you the second point. Third point is that investment, right? Because they are getting the software after 16 months, then only they are able to generate the investment. Here we are delivering small piece of product. I'll tell you one example. For an example, we are delivering Paytm. Okay, we are constructing Paytm for Paytm owner, right? Obviously. So we are TCS, and they have given us the product, and we are developing Paytm. What we will do? We will try to develop a small piece of Paytm and deliver it to the Paytm person, Paytm server, and so that their customer can at least start using the Paytm. For an example, we'll develop create account KYC, and then we'll develop amount balance. We'll develop amount transfer, and we'll develop logout or security, whatever is there, right? Pin or security pin or something like feature, right? So if we develop this 5 feature and we deliver it for Paytm, so what do you think Paytm consumers will be able to use that particular small piece of software or not? Obviously they will be able to use, right? They can check the balance, they can transfer the amount, and they can create an account. With this particular process only, this small piece only, the Paytm will start basically do what? Basically they will start using the software and generate the result, correct? Generate the returns, isn't it? The same logic goes with agile. Whenever we are developing a whole software, instead of developing it completely at one go, we are basically logically dividing it in small pieces and deploying it in small pieces so that customer can start using it and getting the returns of that particular software, small piece of software, from that particular small piece of software. Are we clear? Yes, no, anything, guys?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Now what we call, like basically we call this agile as a sprint, and whatever we have gone through currently, like the waterfall model, it's a kind of marathon. So what does we do in marathon? We try to run whole distance at one go, right? Sprint is a smaller duration, we try to complete it in a faster way, right? We just start it and we just end it, and it's a shorter duration wherein we try to run. So what exactly we can do, we can understand. Instead, if it is a like 4 kilometer marathon, we are dividing the 4 kilometer in one kilometer, and we are trying to complete our work. So that's what we do in agile. What we do, for an example, there is a whole requirement of A to Z. We try to divide it in small pieces. Let's say first piece is A to E. So what they will do, they will code feature by feature, we will test feature by feature, and the same thing will happen. You will do FT, IT, ST, something like that on the small bunch of feature, and then once they completely develop all the feature, they will do just fixes. You will do just retesting, and then basically you move it for the acceptance testing, and then after acceptance testing, basically it will be moved to the production. Same process which we are following in waterfall model, correct? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So how, like I'm telling you, like for an example, there is a 10-meter wall which you have to develop, right? So what agile is saying, we have to develop this 10-meter wall in two parts, first 5 meters and then another 5 meters, right? And waterfall is saying that you can develop the whole 10 meter at one go, correct? That's what they are saying, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So the question to you is, if you have to develop the 10-meter wall only, doesn't matter whether you break the work or whether you doesn't break the work, it will take same time, isn't it? If you are
Yes,
in
sir.
with the help of waterfall model, if you're developing the 10-meter wall, it is taking 2 hours of time. Okay, now if you are trying to develop that same wall with your agile methodology and you are dividing it in 5 meters, first 5 meter will take you basically 1 hour, another 5 meter will also take you 1 hour, correct, isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
how we are able to deliver the product in a shorter duration of time with agile? As you can see, the process is same, correct? So answer for you is, if I tell you you have to develop the same 10-meter wall, now I will give you one more guy with you and you have to develop that same 10-meter wall but divide it in half and half. First half you develop, second half the other guy will develop. You will work parallelly, right? Start from left. You can, instead of dividing it horizontally, divide it vertically. First half you will develop, second half he will develop. Let's assume this is the wall, this is, these two blocks is the wall. So this particular first half you are working, this is 5 meter and you are working on this 5 meter, and this is the another guy who's working in another 5 meter, and you guys are working parallelly, correct? This is a 5 meter wall, this is a 5 meter wall. Okay, this will not work in this way, right? Okay, so basically, the amount of human resource if you enhance in your work, the time duration will automatically get down, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that's what we do in Agile. Instead of having one team which is working on one piece of software, we create multiple teams. This is team number one, this is team number two, this is team number three. What they will do, let's take another diagram. This is a hodgepodge. Will not get to understanding this particular diagram. Okay, this is team
Sir,
number
in
team.
water, sir, in
Yeah,
waterfall model,
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
sir, in waterfall model, they
Huh?
can enhance the team, like they can add more people into the team.
They can add, but usually they don't. Even though they add the team, like the development team needs to be enhanced and testing team needs to be enhanced, and they have to work parallelly in some way. They go in lenient one release day, right? Even though they enhance the team, they will deploy the whole software at one go, but we are deploying in small pieces. So until and unless the whole software will get completed, you can't deploy the software, correct? So basically, if it is a 16-month duration of a project, right, and even though the team number is got enhanced, you will be able to complete the same project in 8 months. But until and unless whole 8 months will get completed, you will not deploy it to the customer. But in agile methodology, if it is getting completed in 8 months only, you will deploy feature by feature. After every 2 months you can deploy something, after every 1 month you can deploy something, correct? Getting my point? You will not wait to get whole software completed. Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool. So that's the major difference. Even though you can enhance the number of people in agile, but sorry, waterfall model, but deployment process in agile is very much lenient than waterfall model. Okay, that makes agile special, because customer will get to see the product and touch the product, and basically that is use the product before the whole product get completed. That makes agile a different approach. Okay, so for an example, this is your first team working, this is your second team working. Okay, so first team is working in these four features: create account, approve account, login, logout. Second team is working on change password, forgot password, amount transfer, amount balance. Let's say these are two teams working parallelly. Team one is working parallelly, team two is working parallelly at the same time. They are working in team one is working on these four features, team two is working on these four features. They will start at the same date, they will end at the same date, right? 1st January they will start, 20th Feb they will end. They will also start 1st January, 20th Feb they will end, and they both will deploy this their product at the same time to the server. So like 2 months what you are following in waterfall model, uh, is one team working on a particular piece, they can deploy only four features, right? But in agile methodology, you double the human effort and you try to cover more than what you are covering in waterfall model. Means just double, if you double the human effort, basically production will also get doubled, manufacturing will also get doubled. It is a simple logic. You see in your household also, right? If you have one gas stove and you are trying to cook something, at a time one thing can get cooked, right? Either the rice or the dal or the sabji, whatever, right? But if you have two stoves, basically your production will be doubled. You can parallelly cook rice also, and basically dal also, correct? So same logic here, they will also develop parallelly. That means in a half a duration of time you'll be able to deliver the whole project compared to waterfall model, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Now this is the workflow. I'll tell you a few more points here. In agile methodology, there is a fair opportunity to do the requirement changes from the customer end. Anytime customer can came up and say that I don't want this particular feature in this way, I want to get it changed. If it is already developed, that is also possible. If it is on paper, not yet developed, then also it is possible to have some sort of changes. Anytime in the production, anytime in the development, they can do the changes. Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool. Now one more point is that this duration we call it a sprint. What is a sprint? Every team will have its own sprint. uh, it is a duration or time wherein we test and develop the software for so many cycles. This is called a sprint. Now this is the same thing which we used to say when we talk about release, isn't it? Collect the requirement, test and develop it for so many cycle, and until you move it to the production. That is a release. And this I'm telling you, this is a sprint wherein we divide the requirement. Basically, we decide the scope of that particular sprint. We keep the small piece of requirement. We test and develop it for so many cycles, and then we deliver. This is a sprint, correct? The definition sounds same, both release and sprint, correct? Should I repeat, guys?
No, sir.
Yes,
Got it, right?
please repeat one more time.
Okay, cool. So देखो, रिलीज में क्या बोल रहा था मैं, जब तुमको मैंने रिलीज पढ़ाया था सिस्टम टेस्टिंग के टाइम पे, तो मैं क्या बोल रहा था? Collecting, right from collecting the requirement, developing and testing it for so many cycle until you move it to the production is called as one release, correct? अभी मैं स्प्रिंट के टाइम पे भी तुमको यही बोल रहा हूँ कि you divide the requirement in small pieces, you pick up a piece of requirement or as a scope of that particular sprint, and you start developing and testing it for so many cycle, and then you move it to the production. ये होती है sprint, correct? If the definition is same for both, what is the difference? ये तो दोनों का सेम है. जो भी मैंने बोला, theoretically अगर तुम देखो तो same thing is happening. We are just keeping a small piece of software, but we are doing the same thing which we are doing in release, correct? Isn't
No,
it?
sir. No, sir.
How?
Sir, in release, it's a proper build without bugs.
So even though if we are releasing it here, we'll have bug fixed. If you are moving it to the production, we'll do the bug fixing, and we'll move it to the production, right? Getting my point?
Yes.
So how it is different than release? How sprint is different than release? High level, you don't see any differences, right? Definition is also same, workflow is also same, correct? तो मैं बताता हूँ डिफरेंस क्या है. One release can be equal to one sprint, and there might be chances multiple sprint can be equal to one release. इसका मतलब क्या है? हो सकता है जब when you completed your one sprint work, you are not moving that work to the production. Maybe the chances are there that the output of that particular sprint is very small. You can't move it to the production right now. You will combine both the sprint output and then move it to the production. For an example, earlier you worked on this many till forget password. You have worked on this first sprint. Second sprint you have worked on from create account to transactions. Now you are moving. Basically, first sprint output is also there in here. Now you are moving this particular build to the production. So the answer is that there might be chances there one sprint happens and you are not moving it to the production. right? If you don't move it to the production, it doesn't call it as a release, right? You can't make it equivalent to a release. But if you're combining this whole 2 sprint work and then you are moving it to the production, then the combination of these 2 sprint can be equal to 1 release. Got it,
Yes, sir.
everyone? सो
Yes, sir.
स्प्रिंट और रिलीज में डिफरेंस कोई पूछेगा तो क्या हो सकता है? स्प्रिंट और रिलीज में यही डिफरेंस होता है कि अगर तुम एक ही स्प्रिंट पे तुम अगर अपना काम को प्रोडक्शन पे डाल देते हो तो वो एक स्प्रिंट एक रिलीज के इक्वल हो जाएगी एज एवरीथिंग इज रिमेन्स सेम. बट देयर माइट बी चांसेस, हो सकता है कि तुम मल्टीपल स्प्रिंट के आउटपुट को साथ में रिलीज कर रहे हो, देन द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ दोज मल्टीपल स्प्रिंट विल बी कॉल्ड एज वन रिलीज. ओके, got it?
Yes, sir.
So this is all about the workflow of agile. Agile में आप तुमको समझ में आ गया कि okay, why we can complete this whole project in a shorter duration of time, and how we are overcoming the drawbacks of waterfall model here. ये सारे जो ड्रॉबैक्स है वो कैसे ओवरकम किए. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, अभी मैंने एक्सप्लेन नहीं किया थर्ड पॉइंट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट तुमको समझ में आ गया कि कैसे ओवरकम होता है. कस्टमर विल गेट गिव द रिक्वायरमेंट एट डे 1, विल गेट टू टच द सॉफ्टवेयर वन इट्स गेट डिलीवर्ड. पूरे सॉफ्टवेयर की डिलीवरी पे ही कस्टमर को देखने को मिलता था सॉफ्टवेयर, एंड उसके बाद ही वो चेंजेस दे पाता था. करेक्ट, जो कि एनहांसमेंट पे आता था, नेक्स्ट रिलीज के एनहांसमेंट पे आता था. तो ये दिस वाज अ प्रॉब्लम. सो वी ओवरकम दिस प्रॉब्लम कि हमने स्मॉल पीस को ही डिलीवर किया पहले, और गेट टू नो दैट कस्टमर को क्या चाहिए. कस्टमर विल गेट टू टच एंड फील द सॉफ्टवेयर, विल गेट टू अंडरस्टैंड द सॉफ्टवेयर देन एंड देयर ओनली in within the small piece or itself, right? So ये overcome हो गया. It is taking 16 months to get developed, right? The business period is very large, right, that time. So to overcome this, what we have done, we have enhanced the human capacity. We try to develop the software in a faster way, and that we had overcome this particular point also. Then third point is that customer will invest money on day 1 and get to returns after very long time, right? So we have overcome by delivering the smaller groups of the software. They can use that particular smaller group in their business and they can make profit out of it. Beforehand, the whole software is getting completed, isn't it? So these are the drawbacks which we had overcome with agile compared to waterfall model, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So that is there. ये पूरा वर्कफ्लो हो गया. अब जो आगे आएगा ना वो अजाइल का मैनेजमेंट आएगा. देखो, अजाइल जितना इंपॉर्टेंट है इन टर्म्स ऑफ वर्कफ्लो, उससे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट, क्योंकि जो भी क्वेश्चंस आएंगे वो इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट ही आएंगे. ठीक है, तुमको अजाइल पे वो पूछेगा व्हाट इज हाउ अजाइल वर्क्स, यू विल टेल दिस पर्टिकुलर वर्कफ्लो लेवल ऑफ थिंग इन जस्ट 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. रेस्ट ऑल यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन अजाइल इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट. देखो ये जो वर्क फ्लो है इसको बताने में तुमको कितना टाइम लगेगा? तुमको क्या लगता है जो अभी मैंने बताया इसको बताने में कितना टाइम लगेगा? तुमको 2 मिनट से 3 मिनट भी नहीं लगेगा. Then you have to explain the management of agile. Management of agile is something which makes agile different than other models. In just uh, in just comparison of this particular waterfall model, it is just telling you how to develop a project. It doesn't tell you how to manage a project, but agile tells you how to manage a project also. वो सारी चीजें ये आगे की स्लाइड्स में है, including the meetings of agile, the tracking process of agile, the work allotment of agile, everything. ठीक है, ये हम लोग नेक्स्ट क्लास में पढ़ेंगे, अभी नहीं पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है, ओके. कूल. सो ये पर्टिकुलर हो जाएगा तो फिर तुम्हारा ज्यादा कुछ बचेगा नहीं. तुम्हारा STLC बचेगा एंड देन टेस्ट प्लान, दैट विल आल्सो टेक 1 day, वो भी हो जाएगा. ठीक है, सो वी माइट हैव कंटिन्यूअस क्लासेस ऑन सैटरडे एंड संडे सो दैट वी कैन कंप्लीट आवर कोर्स विद इन दिस वीक. उसके बाद let's see if you guys have any kind of doubt, you can ask me, and depending upon the number of people having the doubt and number of doubts, we can have a doubt session. ठीक है,
Yes, sir.
चलो ठीक है. और कोई क्वेश्चन रहेगा तो रिगार्डिंग एनीवेयर इन द मैनुअल टेस्टिंग यू कैन आस्क इन द ग्रुप. आई विल गेट बैक टू यू एज सून एज पॉसिबल. ठीक है, अभी जब रिवीजन करना चालू करोगे तो यू विल गेट डाउट्स, so try to do it because course is actually getting to an end, right? try to prepare your answers, try to prepare the definitions. Then if you find any doubts, कहीं पे भी confusion होगा, try to ask it, I'll reply. Okay,
Okay, sir.
cool. Any other questions, guys?
No, sir.
ओके देन सी यू गाइस टुमारो। आज का जो पढ़ा है वो थोड़ा सा एक बार देख लेना। आई थिंक मैंने इसका पीपीटी भेजा नहीं है, अभी भेजूंगा। और फिर इस पे कोई डाउट होगा तो बताना। चलो ठीक है, हैव अ गुड डे गाइस, बाय बाय।
Thank you, sir.